Sharon Dutra is an author and speaker who spent almost 30 years of her life in search of things that ultimately could not make her whole. Years of drug addiction, homelessness, and incarceration left her hopeless, until one day in prison she would find that Jesus was the hope she didn't know she needed. Now she runs Be Transformed Ministries with her husband Michael, and they minister to those who feel lost and hopeless like she once was. Please welcome Sharon Dutra.
Sharon, hi. Thank
Hi.
you so much
Thank
for
you
joining us today. So you have
having me.
You have an amazing story. Someone from our team, Russ, read about you in Christianity Today and said, we need to hear this story. The world needs to hear your story. And it's, even though it's in a way sort of an extreme story, it's a representation of what many of us go through on our journey to find Christ, I think. But let's begin there. Tell us a little bit about who you are and your faith journey.
I was born in Los Angeles, and my father was an alcoholic and a womanizer, and my mother left when I was 5 years old, and I never saw her again. My father was married 4 times by the time I was 17, so I was thrown into foster care early on in my life. And by the time I was 13, I started realizing how much I hated myself. I think I had internalized all of the rejection and abandonment issues that I felt. So I started using drugs, and when I was 15, I ran away from home, and I lived on the street for a month before I was arrested for the first time. I ended up in East Lake Juvenile Hall in central Los Angeles, and for me, that was a real eye-opener to gang activity and racial tension and fear. When I was 20, I married an ex-convict, and we were married and had 2 children together. By then, I had tried every drug known to man. I just wanted to deaden my pain and get out of what I was feeling. And little did I know that my husband was using IV drugs at the time, cocaine and speed. He injected me for the first time, and from there, I was a hardcore IV drug addict for 6.5 years. I overdosed 4 times, and I ended up living on the street, and I was homeless. Just like you see the people homeless today, I was that person for 2 years. I almost died on 4 occasions, and I really wanted to die. I did not want to live. I ended up in prison after my 13th arrest in a Southern California women's prison, and I thought that that was the end of my life. I thought that that was the end of the road, and that was it for me. And what really happened was I read a book, and it was about Jesus, and I wasn't looking for Jesus, but Jesus found me, and I hit the floor sobbing, and I gave my life to Christ. When I was released, I married the son of the captain of the highway patrol, which is pretty funny. And I went back to school. I got my registered nursing degree, and I graduated with honors, which was a miracle because I didn't think I had 2 brain cells to rub together. And I started teaching Bible studies at my church, and I had this really interesting group of ladies, and I couldn't find any material that was appropriate for them. So I wrote my own material, and they finally said, Sharon, you need to put this into a book. So my first book was written in 2011 called Be Transformed, and that's where our ministry started.
It's awesome. It's interesting how you got a nursing degree. I feel that a lot of times it's easy to think that someone who's homeless or that maybe they're just not intelligent. But I've, as a pastor, found the opposite, that very often intelligent people are the ones who sometimes struggle in this way a lot because they spin their wheels a lot. You know, a lot of times thinking or going inwardly and getting trapped in a rut. I don't know if you felt that way at all when you were going through it, but it's an amazing story. Tell us more about Be Transformed. Are you reaching people in the same way like the people that were stuck in a similar kind of rut that you were in? Or?
Yes, so our passion at Be Transformed Ministries is to reach people for Christ and to disciple them, to train them in the Christian faith so that they can go out and reach others. My books, I have now written 3 books. Fishers of Men and New Beginnings are the other books. And they've been translated into 4 languages, and they're being used in 8 different countries. They're being used by pastors, different denominations, and a big part of our ministry is to send out tens of thousands of free books to prisons, jails, and rehabs across the United States and around the world. So
that's awesome.
It's been amazing.
there's a lot of people right now, since, with everything that we've gone through, drug abuse, alcohol abuse, child abuse is at an all-time high. There's so many of the things that you were going through. A lot of people are going through that for the first time. Some of them are Christians, actually, and that's hard, probably hard to believe with your testimony. You probably think, how could that? But what encouragement would you give if there's someone who feels like they're just so far down, that path, and they don't feel like they can get a grip on their lives, or they can't beat their addiction or whatever it is? Do you have any word for someone like that?
Absolutely. Hope in Jesus Christ. He is the answer to every one of your problems, no matter where you are, who you are, what you've been through. Jesus is the answer. I would encourage you to invite him into your life, to get a Bible and start reading that every day, because that has the power to transform and change your heart and your mind. And also to find a Bible-based church and get involved. Get into a small group where you can be supported and loved. And if you'd like to check out our books, they're on BeTransformedMinistries.com, and they have helped people come to faith and disciple them in their journey with Jesus. So Jesus is the answer.
Amen. And they're terrific books too. I'd encourage you to check them out. You and your husband will be outside after service if you'd like to buy one if you're here this morning. Well, Sharon, thank you so much for your encouragement. I know a lot of people are going through hard times, but man, it is so amazing the way that God can so radically turn someone's life around. And sometimes we mess up or we fall off the wagon, but God's there for us,
That's right.
Yeah,
Amen.
We just come back to him. Thank you, Sharon. God bless
you. So much.
you.
I
Appreciate your story. Thank you.